Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. We are on right now. Very unfortunate that today our guest is going to be on the phone and not on the screen. And I'm talking about legendary DJ Frank Corr, a good friend, my dear, dear friend. But we do have a lot to talk about, and I would just like you to welcome at this moment. I don't want to lose any more time. It's already 3:13, so we did lose some time. So we're gonna go over the 4 o'clock. And like I said before, Jimmy, you please bear with me until I finish the hour, and you can do that naturally. All right. So everything is good. I have some friends on the chat right now, and like every Saturday, Legends of Vinyl brings to you the Legacy Hour chat. This is just a chat between friends, and we are just going to reminisce a little bit about our history. And let me tell you, there's a lot of history out there. Um, Ladies and gentlemen, my friend, legendary Frank Corr. How you doing, Frank?
I'm doing fine, but for this, you made me do my hair, and now there's no video. What's going on?
Well, I tell you one thing, shit happens, and but what else can happen? Today is crazy. Technology is good. I mean, I'm all about technology. I love technology, but today, for some reason, is not cooperating.
No, I'm
And
only kidding. I'm only
and I
kidding.
wanted to have the pleasure to for you to be with me here on the screen and so on and so forth. Thank you
You
so
got
much
me.
for
You got
giving
me.
me 1 hour of your time, Frank. As you well know, um, you know, the respect that you have from the industry and the entire industry is huge. You deserve. Your legacy is secure, and I'm proud to have your friendship. Frank, I wanted to ask you to start this real quick.
Sure.
Um, wanted to you to do me a favor and to take me back to the days when because we both can relate to a lot of things, especially in the 60s, early 70s. What were you doing in the early 70s or even in the 60s? What was your life
Actually,
about?
literally in the late 60s, 68, 69, I was still, I think, a teenager. I wasn't 20 yet, I don't believe. But anyway, I started going to Fire Island. And of course, at Fire Island was the Ice Palace.
Wow.
And the Ice Palace at the time was just a wonderful place to go. It was a gay resort, but things were still a little restricted way back then. And as I recall, I could have been 69 or 70. On Sundays, the drag queens at the Ice Palace, the entertainers, would have something they would call high tea, and it would start at 3 p.m. And
Right.
everybody would come up from the beach and get off the beach, and they would start dancing. And this was so primitive at the time. There was a jukebox. There was no DJ, no DJ booth, just dancing, as I recall. Possibly the next summer, there was a little DJ booth. Don't remember who the first DJ was, but I know after that, 70, 71, 72, it was Bobby Goodadero, became a
Oh,
very close friend of mine.
yes.
By that time, I had the bug, and I knew I wanted to be a DJ. And I latched onto Bobby because at the time he was one of the most popular DJs anywhere. He was the
Fantastic
one.
DJ. Yes, you're right.
And he befriended me, and I learned so much from him. Even during the winter, when he'd be playing in the city somewhere, I would go to see him, and they were playing on the Thorns, and I'd see him spinning things in on beat, and I was enthralled. And actually, by 72, 73, my very good friend, DJ Chuck Davis, who passed away a while back, but he's my lifelong best friend, he became a DJ. And he
Right.
started playing around. We both were renting systems on Long Island, just
Right.
little cheesy disco systems. Everything was just beginning then. It was really primitive, using
Absolutely.
media
Primitive.
lighting, mixers, media mixers, they're really crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway, so then we rented. a system to this new club called the Silver Lining in Floral Park. And I don't know how he got well, because we were doing to other systems on the island, I guess, other clubs. We got in there and we rented them a little cheesy system, and they were paying us $20 a week rental. But then Chuck was really getting into DJing by then, and he started DJing there. So since he was my best friend and I wanted to do everything that he did, I started DJing also. And I started playing at the Lining and little clubs on Long Island, the Hungry Bear in Huntington, all these little cheesy little clubs. And I was hooked. Even though I still had a regular Clark Kent daytime job, I was really hooked on the DJing. So I started playing at the Lining also, and somehow, because of the job I had was selling decoratives and lighting, I started selling disco balls and disco lighting, again, because we had an in with some of the clubs on Long Island. But I wound up selling lighting, high energy lighting, to Infinity, which was one of the first big clubs in New York.
Right.
It didn't last long, but it was a huge club.
True that. Yeah.
And I got to play there even. By that time, I had enough balls to just say, what the hell, let me do it. I played there. It mysteriously burned down shortly afterward because studio was ready to open.
Right.
Studio opened. I of course, didn't get into studio in the beginning. They had some of the greatest talent there. But I still played on Long Island and worked my way up, started playing at Crisco Disco.
But wait a minute. Don't go too far, too fast about that, because I like to know, since you started in 75, and then in 1976, that's when you opened your own Silver Lining. Give us a little more detail.
Well, actually, in 74, we opened the Lining. Actually, 74, we opened the Lining, but it was 74, 75 that I started playing.
Right.
And by 76, I remember it distinctly because I got to play the 1976 4th of July celebration, but I was playing at Infinity. I thought that was going to be the greatest thing, but everybody was in the streets blowing off, fireworks. So actually, it was not a great night, but it was still a great night to be in New York and playing at the British Club. So that I remember that distinctly, date-wise, because otherwise my dates get a little confused after all these years.
I see. Yeah, but what at the Silver Lining in Floral Park, tell us a little bit about because you were the owner of this place.
Well, ultimately, I started out as getting $15 a week, then $25 a week. Then instead, we got 15 or 20% of the business instead. They made us a partner. Then it was 25. Then I finally got up to 50, and by 20 years later, I owned the whole thing. From 80 something to 99, I owned it all, including the building.
And this was just a regular club, regular hours. This was not an after hours. This was just...
No, it wasn't after hours. It was a regular gay club on Long Island, and up against the most difficult odds. It was in a residential neighborhood. It was always a problem from day one, but the partner, the guy I partnered with who owned it was a restaurateur, and he had places in the city, and he had security that made sure that our customers were safe. And once we were established, I just glided the next 20 years or so on it. Without his help, we did really well. It was one of the longest running dance clubs on Long Island.
Who did the sound system at the Silver Lining?
Well, originally Chuck and I. I never had anybody else in there, but by the time I was working in the city at Crisco's and all that, Dave Rosner and all these other people I was friendly with them, so I would get good equipment through them, GLI and all that. So I still did lighting and the sound, but I had good people helping me do it. I didn't exactly design it all myself. I knew what I wanted, and we were very lucky to have help from a lot of great people in the industry.
Right. No, you still do. It's a matter of fact, because I know you so well, and you're still so into it. I mean, my goodness, you are one of those people who I respect because of the kind of work you do. And I see you researching and still at it 100%. This is really a wonderful example to a lot of people out there, for somebody that actually, you're a couple of years older than me, and you're still at it. You're in better shape than me by
Oh,
in
come
many
on, we're
ways.
both. Let's not even get into
No,
that.
but you are, and I love you for that because like when I watch you, you're so into it, Frank. You never lost it. You're still so
Well, let me
tight,
say something
and
here. My secret is your secret. If it wasn't for the music, neither of us would be here now.
exactly.
We live for the music. That you were on the same level when it comes to that, and
Oh
that's
my.
why we become such great friends.
Yes, absolutely. But I watch you and I keep pushing, and I'm like a little cheerleader for you
You
every
certainly
time.
have been. You certainly have been.
Yeah, absolutely. But you know that those days in the 70s, you know, with the between the, you know, the Studio 54 after the Silver Lining, obviously Studio 54 was the monster that took over on in that end. And then did you meet Richie Cakes by any chance back in
Yes,
those
we
days?
became friendly, but I never played there at the time. I would go in occasionally during the week and
Right.
watch him. And since he was from Jersey, there was a Thursday night in Jersey. I can't remember what the name of the club, but it was a big, it was either a Tuesday night or a Thursday night. And everybody from Long Island, New York, a lot of people went to this club. I
Right.
wish I could remember it. But Richie would be there just hanging out. So I got to know him on a friendly basis. And the few times that I went to studio, I would go up and say hello. But I was so terrified of that booth, and I mean, I was in awe of everything
Right.
there.
Yeah, and a
You
lot
know,
of
even then, I didn't
a,
aspire to really play there. Although
yeah, a lot
in
of
the back
people
of my
don't
mind,
know that Richie Cakes I mean, everybody thinks that Richie started at studio. They don't
oh
know that. So
no,
Richie
no,
started way back. I had the pleasure of working with him at the after hours
he was
at the
an
top
amazing
floor.
DJ and a wonderful person.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. I mean, one of the nicest people, gentleman, wonderful, talented, the full package as far as the class act is concerned. And so everybody remembers these people, including Bobby DJ, who I had the pleasure of working with at
He
the
was another great guy.
Abracadabra.
Well, he was so kind. Oh my God.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
remember when he got a gold record for Thank God It's Friday, and he
right,
invited me over his house to show it to me. He was so happy and so proud because he
right.
was an advisor on that movie. In fact, they
That's
actually paid him to be on set
wow.
during Thank God It's Friday.
Is that right?
So it was fabulous. I
Ah,
was so in awe of all of that.
yeah, yeah. So who was your favorite DJ in those? Because you had many clubs in those days, 78, 79. The really like it was like a mushroom cloud of clubs everywhere. And some of them really lasted just a few very very short time, like Infinity, New York, and Hollywood, and all of those big gigantic places, including Bonds International and so on.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I remember
and but
Bond.
who was your favorite disc jockey to go and spend some time listening to?
Well, the thing is, since I was from Long Island and I had a day job all the way up till, oh my God,
Yeah.
70 something, I was still DJing and still working, a regular full time job. So
Wow.
I didn't get to go out a lot during the week. So all my mainly people on Long Island, but little did I know at the time that some of the DJs on Long Island who I heard all the time were
Yeah.
going to be renowned DJs, including Warren Glock,
Warren.
Roy
Rest his
Soul.
soul.
These are people I grew up with.
Yeah.
Bobby Vidarini. These are all
Yeah.
people I grew up with, and they're all still incredible in the industry. So I was
Yeah.
listening to the right people anyway.
True that. True that. I mean, we lost quite a few friends throughout the years, unfortunately. Jimmy Stewart and Warren,
Yeah, that was another one. Yeah.
and so many others. I mean, Bobby, DJ, and Richie, and so many other people. So unfortunate that, but we were really, I think, how can I say, blessed to have seen these people and met these,
Oh, I was very good friends with
yeah.
Roy Thode. We shared a
Roy
lot of
Tho,
nights
there you
together.
go. Jesus.
I
Yeah.
literally, Crisco was my club. I had it every Friday, every Saturday, 12 hours a night, every week.
Right.
But when he was left, I think it was Lamouche or something closed
Club
all of a
levels.
sudden.
Mhm.
Abruptly, it closed. It was a restaurant club. He had nowhere to
Mhm.
play for all. This is before he got into or before they opened the Saint. So I gave him my Friday night. We were just that kind of friends. He needed to get to work, and I gave it to him. I gave him a night, and then eventually, I think I could be wrong on what the chronology, but after that he got into the Saint, and that, of course, then I got my Fridays back. But we helped each other, and then he would bring me. Then he was the resident at the Ice Palace in the summertime, and he would get me nights out there. And then
Right.
he was at Ice Palace 57, and he would do early tea, and I would do late tea on Sundays. So he got
Right.
me in there. So we helped each other along the way, and it
Right.
was a wonderful experience,
Were
incredible
Were
experience.
you ever? Obviously, I'm sure you went to 12 West, which was one of the other pretty
Yeah,
iconic.
very seldom again because I was either working during the week or I was always working on the weekend. So
Yeah.
I never got to go to, for instance, the Saint on a weekend because I was always working in an opposing club.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. No, that's so true. I mean, a lot of us we had to work. We were blessed on that. So, were you were still owner of the DJ and a DJ at the same time?
Yes,
A wonderful thing happened because I remember this. I remember very little, but I do remember because I was there a few times. The name of the club is Crisco Disco, and Crisco Disco became. I mean, even though it was also short-lived, after hours, it was huge for many reasons.
it was three
For many
floors.
reasons. I mean, we're talking about a supermarket. Where I used to work at the rooftop or the top floor was also a supermarket for whatever you wanted. People from New Jersey, Brooklyn, everywhere, they used to come specifically to this place because they will score, you know. And but Crisco was a little bit more than that. Um, just tell us a lot about your experience and how this whole thing happened with you. Danny Pucciarelli is on. Rob is on. Some people on the chat right now. And Danny Puch says Crisco can DJ booth Ice Palace 57 had incredible light show. Yeah, I do remember that. But so Frank, take us back to that first day that you started at Crisco Disco.
It's so funny. I used to work at a little club on, was it 11th Avenue, right at 1 block away from the Eagle, the original old Eagle on 11th Avenue, and it was the first Crisco Disco. But I only got to play there a little because the DJ was a nice guy and a good friend of mine, and the light man was his lover and everything. But then later on, they opened the big Crisco, so I went there to see him, the one on 15.
Right.
I went in there and I met him, and I met the owner, and the owner knew me from when I was working at this little club on 11th. And he said, "Well, one day you got to work here, work here." And then, unfortunately, Johnny, the DJ, passed away. It was a sad thing. I don't remember the
Wow.
detail.
All
And
right.
they wanted me to do a night. Well, I was there for almost 8 years, on and off. Then the only on and off was when they closed down, got
Right.
shut down, then we reopened.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was there for that whole time, and it was the most incredible experience that anybody could want.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you were off the
Most of
hook. You were off the hook in that place.
I could have had I had 11, 12
Yeah.
hours a night to do whatever I wanted.
Exactly. Yeah, but you took everybody for a ride, and 99.9% of the audience was on the same head. I mean,
They were
everybody
industry
was in the
people.
same.
Yes,
Yeah.
they were industry people.
Yeah.
Ultimately, that's how I got into studio. Because
Yeah.
needless to say, everybody from studio after 4 a.m., they would come to Crisco, including the owners. The owners would be up in the VIP room with Hank, the owner, Hank Pagani.
Right.
And everybody would be up there. Steve Rebel, Disco
God.
Sally, all these people that wound up being important to me years later because they all knew of me, and that is really like my audition was every night.
Oh shit. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, by the time I got to Crisco, working also, I was so blown away that I was like quiet in a corner, just watching. I couldn't even talk. I mean, I was just looking for another line, if you know what I mean. Um, so you couldn't. I couldn't even freaking say anything. That's how weird it
It
was.
was an amazing club.
Yeah,
And
sure.
somehow I did those long, I don't know how the hell I did it, because now, remember I told you I was still working a day job when I and it was in the display decorative lighting industry. And during market week, we would be open on the weekends to be to have showroom open. And I would play Friday night, basically just go right to work late that morning,
Right.
and then work the market, and then work that night, and then Sunday. I don't know how I did it. I really don't know how I did it.
Wow. Yeah, no, it was quite the timing and everything. It was fantastic. But Studio 54 did, I mean, when it reopened and after Steve and Ian, you know, went away, and then you took over with, I believe was, I forget
Mark
who it was.
Fleischman. Mark Fleischman.
Uh
You mean
huh.
the owner?
Yeah, no, no, the DJs I'm talking about. Yeah, of course, everybody's important there, but yeah,
Well, Leroy Washington was doing the Thursdays, but
okay.
we missed the leg in between that when
Mm.
when Steve and Ian went away to jail. Studio got closed, and everybody from studio went to Magique.
Yeah, I played Magique too on First Avenue, but a
Everybody was
very
at
small
Magique.
place in the corner became the Chippendales after that, and I did the shows
Yes,
for
I did, but that was quite a beautiful club, and I had
beautiful.
some
The
wonderful
lighting was
experiences.
amazing at Chippendales. I mean, or at Magique, it was
Yeah,
fantastic.
it was very, yeah. Well, they got small. Once studio reopened, even I left them. So
Yeah.
they knew the handwriting was on the wall. But by that time, Disco Sally, who became a big fan of mine at Crisco, because I
Right.
hadn't yet played at studio, but when Ian and Steve had it. So at Magique, Disco Sally got married, and I was
Oh
doing
no
guest spots
shit! I
on
never knew
Thursday.
that. Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah, she got married there.
Oh
Said
wow.
I want Frank Corr to do the wedding, so I did the wedding on a Thursday, and then I wound up doing every Thursday there until studio reopened.
How cool is that? Holy
And then when
shit!
studio reopened, they wanted to have this was I don't know how many months it was. Wasn't like a year later. It was only months later.
Right.
And they
Yeah.
reopened, and they wanted to have like a reception or a party at studio, but for Disco Sally. And of course you wanted me to do it on a Thursday, and Thursday belonged to Leroy Washington. He was doing the
How
Thursday.
was your first night there? And which night was it?
It was Thursday, the biggest
Or
night, the
the biggest?
trendiest night in New York City.
And you felt comfortable. You feel
Well,
confident.
not really. They had a Bozak mixture that was fine,
Yeah.
but they had Florins turntables, and I had
The
never
Thorns are
worked.
very difficult turntables to
Oh
work
my
with. Yeah.
God! And you know how
Yeah.
I off speed and things. I,
Yeah.
I knocked the rubber band off. I think twice during the night, and we had to fix it. Oh my God!
Oh
Oh my
shit!
God!
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize what happened in the middle of the night. The DJ, the turntables in those days with the band,
Well, I didn't
with the
know, but
band
I,
and
I
everything.
must
You,
have done. I must have done pretty well because they
yeah,
wanted me. I had every Thursday after
yeah.
that. I got the
Do
Thursday.
you think the glamour of Studio 54, it was it continued the same thing, or did it lose the glamour after Steve and Ian
After Stephen
left?
Ian, it was still good the first few years when Mark Fleischman ran it very well. He really did a great job, and he modernized it. He did what's called happy hour now. He did these socials at after work thing. He started that whole thing.
Yeah.
As far as I know, he called it social something, whatever it was. It was really happy hour. They would open at 5 or
Okay,
6.
but they didn't have the Mark Beneke guy standing at the
Mark was
doors.
still there when I was
Was
working
still
there.
there?
He was
Mark
there.
saying you can come in, you go back and
And
change your clothes.
it lasted quite a while, but needless to say, without Steve Rebel there, it wasn't. He was there, by the way. He was behind the curtains. Let's say he was not supposed to be able to run it, but he was an advisor because he's the one who wanted me there
Right.
because he remembered me from Crisco.
Mark, yeah,
So
he's
he
a
was a
very
big
nice
promoter,
guy. Yeah. I've done
and
the Mark and Myra
Ian was
show. Yeah,
Ian
with
was such a sweetheart. Ian would come in, and if he wanted something, he would ask so nicely. It was unbelievable. What a
yeah.
sweet man that was. Oh my God.
Yeah, he still is a very nice guy. It's a matter of fact, I got to be on their show on XM Radio because of Sue Bell.
Wow.
Because of Sue Bell of all people. Imagine that, of all people. Sue Bell
Yeah.
got in touch. She won a ticket. I don't know. Remember the story but she got in touch with when we got to New York. I don't know how many years ago, and then they asked us to come, and we did. Very nice. We had three appearances at the XM. I mean, at the Studio 54 Mark and Myra show, and
So yeah, studio maybe wasn't quite as glamorous after
right.
the reopening, but it was still pretty darn glamorous.
Because
It was pretty good.
it became at the end it became just a mainstream club. Did you
Well, no,
play?
that was at the very end though. That was because I was there till the very last night.
Okay,
That was like '86. That was the
yeah,
very end. It was
yeah.
the tunnel people were allowed in. But
Uh-huh.
during the height of it, when I was there, when I was finally started there, which was in the early '80s, Michael Fesco was promoting there, John Blair was promoting there, Nikki Haskell, and they were bringing in tons of celebrities and very important people. So I still had a pretty glamorous time at studio with celebrities in the booth and
Right.
and then from Michael Fesco and John Blair, I got to work at other clubs in the city later on when they would be promoting them. So I
Yeah.
really was a great opportunity
And
for
you
me.
didn't have the Diana Rose
Oh yeah, I did
on
for
top
all
of
of
the
them.
DJ booth. I always remember that it's very incredible for all of us, these jockeys, the amount of people that it was they went into it. I would have gone nuts because I hated that. And then all of a sudden, I see a picture of Diana Ross standing on top of the DJ
Yeah, that's
booth,
a famous
and
picture.
then
That
with
is a
her legs
famous
like that,
picture.
and the picture of Richie Cakes looking at
And you
her
can
like,
hardly
"What
move it.
the
I was in
fuck are you
I know
doing?" Huh?
I know exactly how he feels though, because there were
Yeah,
times in that booth there would be so many celebrities that I couldn't turn around to
yeah,
get a record.
yeah.
I had to work, it was hard to get a record, but it was great. I mean, it's a once in a lifetime thing, and you don't forget stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. But you saw Richie. I'm talking about this picture. Well, you seen it, I'm sure. Richie was that kind of a person who was not even impressed about whoever was
Well,
there. But
he was the
he was
perfect.
just like, well, what are you doing, kind of thing. What? How
No,
dare you?
no. He was so smooth.
Yeah,
He was smooth.
good.
And he was perfect for that. Another DJ might have really gotten upset or freaked out by it, flashed out, but he was perfect for that.
Well, the turntables, man. She's very close to the turntables on the records. I mean, we are very protective of
Well,
our
some of them,
vinyl,
including Bianca Jagger, used to come in a lot at
right?
studio, and she loved hanging out in the booth and waving to her friends, and I was fine with that. But
Yeah.
she would always put her drink on the edge of the record bin,
Oh boy.
always on the record bin, and I could just it never fell in, but I always was worried about it.
You
A
have
drink
to, yeah,
falling
you
into
have
the.
to keep watching that, and that was like oh my
But she was
god,
very cool, though. I liked it. I
yeah.
liked what she did.
So how do you get along with everybody else in of the DJs that were there? I know that
Well, for instance,
Robbie Leslie also worked
Robbie
there.
Leslie worked there. At the time, he was doing Tuesdays and Sundays. Sundays were very big too. Second to Thursday, Sundays were very big.
Yeah,
And Robbie was a sweetheart. He had bought a pair of 1200s and was using them on his nights, and he would leave them in the liquor room.
yeah.
So I was working on the Florence, and he saw me struggling. And once I was there more than one Thursday, he knew I was going to be working there. And he was such a sweetheart. He let me use his tables on Thursdays.
You notice that you say the word you said was. I mean, he was a sweetheart at one time. And no, I'm kidding. He's still
Well,
a sweet. He's
still
still
good
a
friends. I
wonderful
don't
guy.
see him much. He's so busy with XM and all that. I don't
he's
see him much.
he's just too busy to even pick up the phone. I mean, to call people. But that there were other people like Dwayne
Once
Holt.
I had those turntables, I could do anything I wanted.
Exactly.
Once I had the, and then ultimately, I'm jumping ahead here. Then I went to Miami to work in Club Z, and then I came back to New York a couple of years later. I went back to studio till the very end, and by that time, the booth had been done up. Thanks to Leroy Washington, who was still affiliated with them.
Right.
He had a really good Uri mixer, and I believe it was still a Uri. Maybe it wasn't a Uri, but anyway, we had the turntables, had reel-to-reel decks, recorders. It was wonderful. It was
Yeah.
really wonderful.
Man, those are memories. Wonder any bad memories that you wanted to talk about? Anything like that? Because I
Not from
know
studio, not
we
from
had
studio.
some really weird times. I mean, it wasn't always
Well, at
wonderful.
Crisco Disco, it would get raided a few times,
Yeah.
and they would arrest the doormen,
Mm.
the bartenders, but for some reason they never took the DJ, and I would just leave my stuff in the booth, go home,
I went
and then
in.
and a couple of times we even had the balls to reopen the same night.
Yeah, well, that reminded me about the Haven back in the late 60s. That's what they used to do. And the Haven was a very small place and full of drugs, the same deal. And the place got raided 3 or 4 times a night.
Well, we were
And the
lucky. It was
lights
only a
will
few
not, will go on, and everybody will drop everything they had on their in their pockets, and then you will step on everything, and you will go crunch, crunch,
Oh,
crunch, crunch,
absolutely. We
crunch.
had palm trees. What was in those palm trees at the end of a raid was unbelievable.
He's freaking
Yeah,
hysterical.
but Crisco was definitely hooked up. Those are the days when, I mean, that was an illegal club, and it would be written up on page 6 on Monday morning, or
He's-
who was there on the weekend. You know, that was when Saturday Night Live was so big, and a lot of the cast
Right.
would go there after work. I mean, it was unbelievable.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was,
yeah. I mean, memories that we'll never forget.
yeah,
And as high as we were, we remember some of it fondly. I'm glad that we can tell the tale now. We can tell the story, Frank. We can do it. We
exactly.
can do it. But you had the opportunity also to travel to San Francisco, including to even perform at the famous Trocadero transfer, Trocadero and the
Yeah,
Russian
thanks to
River
Bobby did
area.
already. Well, Bobby knew me from Long Island,
Yeah,
and then I started doing a few parties out in San Francisco
right.
with for Rod Roderick, one of the biggest promoters out in San Francisco. But God bless him, he's long gone now. A few years he's been gone, but he was amazing. But Bobby got to, now that he knew I was out there, Bobby got me a
Right.
couple of gigs at Trocadero, and that was amazing too. Of
Yeah,
course.
yeah, yeah. Do you compare the Trocadero with the East Coast? Which club would you compare?
Well, Trocadero is probably the closest thing to any great. It's one of the great clubs ever anywhere. So it compares to anything in New York had. Trocadero was unique. It really was.
Well, it was
Thanks to
gigantic. It was huge
it's
for.
not just the magic of the music. No, he had probably one of the best morning music clubs I've ever seen.
Well, he loves that sleazy,
Yeah,
sleazy
but
music in the morning.
that's what I mentioned.
He's
It was one
famous
of
for
the
that.
very, it
Yeah,
was one of the very best I've ever.
I
He was
love
one
that. I love it. I said, after hours,
I
you
mean,
have to
Warren
learn
could
now.
do it, Warren could do it. They all do their own versions of it, but
Yeah.
Trocadero really seemed to lend itself. The crowd out there really got it. They really
Yes,
got it.
yes. No, I'm proud to of Bobby. Bobby's still
Oh,
doing his
I love
thing.
him. He came
Yeah.
down and stayed at my place here when I was converting it to Airbnb, and I let him stay in one of the best apartments as my guest. And then ever since then, we renewed our friendship. We see us
Yeah, no,
together all the
I was
time.
there. I was there. But
He was
all of
amazing.
that kind of stuff is good. The other place was on Russian River area. No,
Oh
that's
yeah,
the.
that was great. I played up there once. I called it Julie Andrews Point. It was a beautiful pasture with cows, and there was a big. I played a couple of parties up there for Rod
Uh,
Roderick.
and
I
this
forget
is
the name of it.
and this is already in the late 80s.
Yeah, it was in mid '80s, I believe. Yeah, mid '80s, maybe late '80s. Yeah.
Wow, wow. Yeah,
Oh,
because
it
the
was
music
incredible.
changed completely. But in the mid 80s, it was already kind of settling down, and not in the beginning of the 80s. It was all crazy between the freestyle and the
Yeah,
DOR.
I did
Uh,
freestyle then, but I never. I hear a lot of it now because I play. I do a mix show on Live 36. I mean, what do you call it? Rewind 103.9 in Miami, and they do a lot of freestyle. Bob Nero
you
also does
you
it.
can't get away from that. Okay, I mean I'm gonna stay away from that simply because it's not my cup of tea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do little parts of it. They like me because I stick to the energy. Bob does a lot of freestyle, but I stick to the energy,
Well,
and occasionally
they
I'll do
got,
a little
you
step.
have to remember they got Legends of Vinyl royalty. What are they gonna do? Uh, what do, do me a favor, please. Give me a break. I mean, they have to put something there in order to
No,
get.
they treat
It's
us
like
very
putting a
well.
show. It's like get your rates up. Let's get Legends of Vinyl in here, for crying out loud. I mean, really.
Yeah,
I
speaking of
mean,
that, the
is
one thing I'm missing now with the COVID is your wonderful grooving in the park thing. Who knows when
well,
we're ever going to
I've
get to
been
do
thinking
that?
about it, and I'm willing to invest a little bit of on that because is needed right now. I do get a lot of phone calls and people want me to go
You know,
back,
it might work because it's outdoors, and even with the mask
but
on, it's still
I
outdoors.
have to talk to the park people because it's still,
Yeah.
even though it's outdoor, the place holds about 1,000 people. And if I do that, obviously I don't mind spending the money. Money is not an object, a problem, But the fact is that you want to make it cost effective, and you want to make people comfortable, and
No, because those why I miss them so much.
yeah,
But you, if anybody could work it out, even under the restrictions of COVID, it would be you,
thank you.
and we'll all
Yeah,
work
well,
with you on it,
I
of
will. I will
course.
definitely look forward to that. I'm already on it. I'm definitely looking forward to go
But
to.
let's face it, those breezes there are magical.
Oh,
So
absolutely. Oh my
there's no
goodness.
better. It's sort of like where I work on Sundays. It's sort of like
Oh,
Scandals.
I love that place. I mean, absolutely love it. I mean, is I mean, watching you perform on Sundays. I mean, there to me is like it's therapy because I go there and stand on the side, and even though you allow me to go into the DJ booth and sit
Oh,
down,
I love it when you're
because
there.
I'm
Of
an
course.
old man, I'm an old guy. I have to sit down. I
I
can't
even have
stand
a
anymore.
chair for you. Exactly.
So, and I enjoy that so much, and I watch Howard Merritt,
Oh, I
and
love Howard. Howard's a
Howard. You have to realize that I saw Howard in his prime, and he was amazing.
On Sundays
Oh,
at studio, when I first was aspiring, I was like all about Eve there. I was sitting in the balcony on Sundays
right.
watching Howard, and then the next Sunday it would be Robbie. And I used to sit up there drinking my Southern Comfort and Coke and saying to myself, someday I'm going to be here.
And
Someday I'm
I
going to.
and I have
Eventually,
my pal, my friend, my drinking pal, my drinking buddy, Bob Miro, that
yeah.
we call each other and says, "Are you going?" He's calling me early. So, I mean, if he's going, you know that I'm there. I mean, but now I can't wait to get us, all of us back on track and go and see so many wonderful friends of ours performing in Florida, which is to me because I've been around, whether it's Broward County and Dade County. To me, Broward County matters to me because it's the real thing. I mean, this is where all the talent, as I call it, are performing, and
You know,
those are.
one of the first times you took me out with you when you were looking to have the first awards show down here. We were looking around Miami, and that's when I said, "Well, you should really check out
Yeah,
Hunters."
and
And that turned out to be an incredible
I
relationship.
forever will be grateful for that because there is no comparison about I can only
One of the
say that
real class clubs in the country. One of the real class
Hunters,
clubs.
yeah, and our good friend Richie Rich Ricardo Torres, who performs
My
there
best
on a
friend.
weekly
He's my best
basis.
friend. He's my best friend.
Well, let me tell you something. I have to tell it, and you told me about it. You were the one who actually sees. You have to pay attention to this young
I
man.
kept telling you, you
Yeah,
wait till you hear Richie. Wait till
and
you hear Richie. Then finally, you heard
but you
Richie.
you got to remember that it was hard for me to accept that, and I have to be honest with you because
Oh my God, he's the most remarkable
age has a
creature.
lot to do with it. And then all of a sudden, I said, this young man, and with all due respect, I say that, he actually studied. He is so, I mean, he's so detail. I mean, he just brings it on, and everybody sees that. And well,
No,
what
he's
can I say?
amazing.
He
I
is the
told him
next
he
best
thought he
thing
was
since
lucky to
Seven Up down
he
here in
thought he was
Florida.
lucky. He thought he was lucky to meet me because I was going to help him so much with the music.
Yeah,
And let me tell you something. He has helped me so much more than he
yeah.
will ever know.
No, and he's so humble and so
Exactly.
is a fantastic.
Exactly.
And I'm happy that I have him here at the real radio station, Visual Radio, Legends of Vinyl. He's got 3 shows going on.
Well, now
On
that he does video better than any, and I know a lot of great
He
DJs.
re-edits these videos. As a matter of fact, a couple
Superb.
of weeks ago,
Superb.
Frank, I was, Nikki calls me up, and Nikki Ciano says, "Hey," he says, Nikki goes first on Sundays, and then follow by Richie." And Nikki has been watching, and he calls me up and he says, "Hey, who's doing?" Because I've seen that video, but that video doesn't go like that. I said, "Wait a minute." I say, "I got to tell you something. I mean, this guy actually re-edits the
The
videos
work that he
and
puts
the
into those edits, and they're on
hours." He says,
unbelievable.
let me talk to him. He says, I called Rich. He says, "I'm going to give him your number. So do me a favor." So now they're in touch. And, so whatever, it's just a matter of respect.
Well, thanks to you and Richie and Bob Miro, and of course Frank Lovejoy, the light man,
Frank
and the tech guy.
Lovejoy,
Without
because,
him, I don't. He's here every day helping
yeah,
me with things.
you
A lot
have
of
to,
the stuff I do on the computer is because he helps me
right.
with it.
But in our world, on our world, as disc jockeys, the compliment is to have the person next to you with the lights who is on
Well,
target.
whenever I worked, that's how I met him. He was my
Yeah,
light man at Boom,
right,
and then he was my light man at Hunters in the
right.
beginning. In the
Yeah.
very, that's how I met him, and he
And
was just a sweetheart of a
he
person.
just blows me away because he sits there. Now it's all digital, not like when we were, but I'm sure he does. He makes everybody in the business take notice about it
And
because,
one thing you may not have known about him, he is a very good DJ. There have been times when he's
yeah.
opened up the night or
Well,
the DJ, and
well,
he can do it all. He can
well, you
do it.
have to be, because how can you not when you are next to the
Yeah,
best
his
of the
work is,
best? I
yeah,
mean, you have to pick
exactly.
up on that, and then his creativity comes out naturally, and
So,
he sees everything. I mean, come
no,
on,
well, yeah,
yeah.
when he was in, was it Atlanta or wherever he was a DJ before he was a light man.
Also, he went from DJ to lightman.
Yeah, but he mainly lights. But like I say, he could. That's why I mentioned that most people don't realize that he can do it all.
Wow.
So,
Well, listen, I never heard him play, but if it comes, if you mentioning it, why not? But now we're talking about all of these wonderful places that, I mean, we're talking about people like Bill Halquist, uh,
Billy
who is
was the one
Bill.
that really got me
I mean,
back
a lot
into
of
it. He
people
was,
don't realize the talent that is down here in Florida.
he is a real pro. He's another great,
Oh
great
my
DJ.
God, I'm talking
And
about
of course,
Herbie
the G classic
James. We're talking
DJ.
about Don Bishop. We're talking about
Oh,
incredible
Don
talent.
Bishop was another
Oh,
class act. Well,
what?
we're lucky right down in our area, right around
Yeah,
here. We have
yeah.
so many great
So
DJs retired to this area.
people
It's
out there
amazing.
that are listening, and by the way, out there, ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to the Legends of Vinyl Legacy Hour chat, and I have the pleasure, and it's always a pleasure to spend time with my friend Frank Corr. I enjoy his everything about Frank is great as far as I'm concerned because he's a talented man. But there are so many other disc jockeys down here, professional, that they have made their mark everywhere in the country. They are down here in South Florida, especially in the Wilton Manors area, landing here. And this is the place to be. In New York, if you're in New York or anywhere in the country, you come down here, please do your work. Day count is wonderful. I love Miami's okay for the lights and the skyline and the whole thing. The nightlife is different. There was a time that the nightlife in Miami was wonderful. No more. I mean,
Well,
I'm talking.
even when I worked at Club
Yeah,
Z,
yeah.
and we opened Club Z,
That's
that
where I
was
wanted to
the
go. Club Z, Club Z. This is in the '80s. What year was that, Frank?
oh boy, 83 or 4. That's when I left studio the first time because
Okay.
Phil Smith, who also owned the Sound Factory and Twilo, he used to come to studio with Wendy Doherty, was a woman, a promoter that worked with Sound Factory and Phil
Right,
Smith. She became a big fan of mine on Thursdays. She
right.
brings Phil in, and he just started hanging out in that booth. And he knew He just said, He says, "You got it." He says, "You got it." That's what he told me.
Wow. Yeah.
And years later, he took me. He said, "I'm going to make you an offer you can't refuse." He flew me down to Miami.
I
I
like
saw
that.
this incredible club, Club Z. Have you ever been in there? That is the most
I well,
magnificent
it used to
place.
be what, the mansion, Club Mansion.
Yeah, the mansion. Yeah,
Okay,
it's been through so many
but
names.
that I was there. I mean, I was there. I was almost there to play, but I didn't get to play there. It was Miami. I was never attracted to Miami, to tell you the truth.
Well, they made me
Maybe
an
it's
offer a few weeks. It lasted
the
a year or two,
driving
and
and
then
all of that, and I know myself better. But I walked in there and I went through the whole place and
oh,
this and
it
that.
was
I
such an
think it
Art
was in the
Deco palace.
construction. Huh?
It was like an Art Deco palace. It was
Yeah.
incredible. It was
Yes.
incredible.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
But
there, I met a lot of wonderful people too. That's when Miami Vice was flying high. So whatever years that was, when it was.
and you had them. You had your VIP people come and sit
Oh
in
my
your
God, yeah.
area, right? You had
The
Don
Gloria,
Johnson.
Gloria
Is that what's his
and her
name?
husband, they were just starting. I had them perform there in the lobby. The lobby was so big. They performed in the lobby
What
during the week
what did they
when they
do?
would.
What did they
They
do?
put whatever songs they had,
Oh
whatever.
shit, that's right. They did have a song. That's right.
Yeah, they had a couple of songs out way
Yeah.
back then even.
Oh
And
wow.
they would be on my guest list. Imagine on my guest list. Now they're incredible.
Frank, can you put me on your guest list for next week? I know you're playing next week, but
Yeah, by the way, it's Scandals. Come on next Sunday at Scandals. I'll be playing outside.
I'm gonna be visiting you next Sunday. Gonna stand right in my
More will be
favorite
there too.
place.
I'll have
You
a
know.
stool for each of you.
No, this is so awesome because a lot of people don't realize that you just not only made history in New York City, San Francisco, but also in South Florida. So you have a tremendous body of work that is really amazing work, Frank. Amazing. So this is so wonderful. I mean, you're still active. I love the way you embrace all this music that is now come because we talk about a lot about that. That's one thing that we spend a lot of time talking about records, that music that is by Dr. Packer and Joey Negro and all of these great new
And
releases.
you
And
turned
you,
me on to a lot of that smooth. You really
yeah,
turned me on. But my most recent set on the radio was all that smooth stuff I got from you.
yeah.
Really good stuff. Oh
But
my God.
we love it.
Smooth.
Remember, we go out and we go and into these places and we listen and we start asking,
All that
who's that?
groove,
Who's
all
that?
that
What is that? I mean, Shazaming it.
That's something I've never gotten over, even at my age. I've never got over that.
But you
If I
are,
don't have it, I
you
gotta
love
have
it. I can't do it. I can't keep up with you, Frank. I can't. I mean,
Well,
there's so much music. How you
You've
retain all
shared
of that?
files with me. We've shared some pretty good files with each other, so that works out really good.
I don't know how you retain so much music. I'm telling you, I'm having problems with that. I love some of the stuff. As a matter of fact, it's not that simple to really fall in love with new music nowadays.
Well, that is what I'm doing now. I've got the opportunity for Eagle Radio, for Jimmy P on Eagle Radio.
Yeah,
I'm doing more circuit stuff, all high energy circuit,
right.
because I don't get, there's nowhere I have to play that anymore, you know?
Yeah.
So
Well,
now I have the excuse to do it for the radio, at
Well,
least.
I'm so honored that you giving me 1 hour of your life because you're pretty much in every other radio station instead of mine. I don't know. I don't follow that. I mean, I squeezed one of your recordings the other day to see the reaction of people. People love your music.
Oh, good. I'm going to give you that one I did with the groove that a lot of them are the product I got from you. I did a really nice set last week opening,
Did
and
you?
I'll give you that. I'll get that to you during the week.
Second hand. I'm getting second hands out. I mean, really?
What are they saying? Secondhand?
Yeah,
What?
you're giving me second hand mixes already. What's up with that?
Well, I did it live. I did it live.
You did it live? Okay, no, I love it. I love it. No, this is good, man. Listen, buddy. You're just an amazing man, full of energy, and what impresses me is the research that you do. You still do the same thing that you did back in the day, and
I
uh,
honestly believe that that's keeping me as young as possible. I get forgetful, but I mean that comes with age too. You
oh,
know.
come on, me. I'm having senior moments every minute. I can't remember what the hell I mean, yeah, I don't want to go into it. I mean, I get all depressed and shit. But it is what it is, my friend. We all have to do whatever we
Well,
can.
I appreciate you spending time with me on the phone, and anybody out there listening. Hello, and thanks for listening to us. I appreciate that
Well,
very much.
Frank, there's tons of people that we have met throughout the years, right? thousands
Yeah.
of people. As a matter of fact, we can't remember them all, but they know that we remember them fondly. We love them a lot. We love them a lot, and we can't recall everybody. But in your case, you've been around for so long, and analog Brooklyn, New York, SBS Shorty. Hey, Shorty, my brother, how you doing? He's one of the best sound engineers, DJs. I mean, he's got another. You have to listen to his show. He's on Mondays from 5 p.m. till 11. I don't remember exactly, but it's 6 hours. I don't know how he does it.
Wow.
6 hours? Are you kidding me? I cannot do 2 hours anymore standing. The other day I was standing here, I was playing music, and all of a sudden I say, "Whoops, I can't move."
I'll tune in and listen, but I'll have to take a nap before.
You and me both, my brother. You and me both. Bob Miro is on. I'm sure he's watching. Bobby says, "Sounding great." And where are you? What do you mean? For those, this is the first show that I have to, at least have Frank Corr's flyer on the screen. Something happened between the connection or something like that. My
Well, don't forget,
apologies.
you made me do my hair for this, so you're going to pay for the hairdo.
And you put a little perfume in it already. Is that
No,
is
but
that
a lot of
a
a lot
moist?
of moisturizer.
Exactly. Is that a moisturizer like 5 days ago? I mean, come on. I love you, man. I love
I'm
you
very
so.
excited that you mentioned something about the grooving in the park. If that comes
Yeah,
about, that is
yeah,
something I think it's doable. I really think
yeah.
it's doable. Let's start working on that.
Well, it is doable because I've been already thinking about it. It's just a matter of the park giving me the permission to maybe they're keeping a,
Well,
I
yeah,
think,
find out what the rules are. Find out
yeah,
what the rules
yeah.
are. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Oh,
that's
that would
one
be
thing that is
wonderful.
coming up, ladies and gentlemen. And Frank, to let me ask you, out of all of this situation, our lives, what do you have last words to the generation and your fans and the people who love you and respect the work that you have done? Please, this is your legacy. It's like, hey, Frank Corr, this is your life. Remember that show? But what do you want people to remember? How did they you want them to remember Frank Corr?
Well, if it's legal, just keep doing what you love, man. Just don't stop doing what you love. That's what's keeping
Right.
you and I alive, and that's what's keeping us alive. We're doing what we are lucky enough to be able to do what we love. That's all I can say.
And how do they want you to remember Frank Corr? I mean,
Well,
you
luckily, I recorded a lot. You can't get away from me. I'm all over the place. Thanks to Jim Hopkins over out in San
Jim,
Francisco. He's
yes.
got more of my product out online, and he keeps coming up with reels and reels that I don't even remember giving them to Rod Roderick. I'm all over the place. You can't
That
get away from me.
that is important because people, that's exactly right. And they were all reel to reel, so the
Yeah.
quality is, he enhances the quality and makes
Well,
them
he did an
sound incredible.
incredible job. That
Yeah.
one with Crisco Disco, I mentioned it to you.
Yes.
I had one night, 1982, July 4th, opens up with Kate Smith singing God Bless America, and I had the mic hanging in the middle of the floor.
Oh
And
boy.
I left it on the whole night. Not all the way up, but enough you could hear the screams on every mix. That I had goosebumps for 6 hours. I listened to that set, and that
Right.
was only half the night. Don't forget, it was a 12-hour night.
Do
That's probably the most amazing thing. I had tears coming down my face
you
when I heard
have
it.
that recording where?
It's on Hear This At. It's on Hear This At, and I have it on my Facebook too.
You do. So I
Yeah,
can download it and can
yeah,
I please play
yeah.
that? Hold, it's six
Now
hours.
you
Is
did a,
how long?
you did
How
a
long is the
remarkable
recording?
because it almost sounds like a concert because the mic was open. Of course, you have that little bit of a tinny
That's
sound,
perfect. That's perfect.
but
That's
it brings you there. You were there. You when you hear it, you
yeah.
get goosebumps.
Right. So it is a 6 hour
Yeah, that
tape,
was
right?
right, exactly.
Okay.
I'll make sure you get the link to it if you don't find it on my. That's a couple of months ago, so it's probably pushed down on my Facebook somewhere. But it's on Hear This At
If
under
you
Frank Corr.
can send me the link of that, please, because I need to download that and I need to feature that particular thing. And I would like
Okay.
people to experience this particular segment because that's what it's all about. You're living this for legacy. This is your legacy. People need to listen to
It's
you
so funny
now.
'cause I mentioned that one set just about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Some DJ friended me on Facebook from Germany. He heard the set in Germany. He heard it from here the set or from my Facebook page, and he asked me specifically what was that 6 hours and 5 minutes or some cut that I played. But obviously it must have been a mashup that one of those white labels that God knows what it really was. But
Oh,
it really was cool. I can't believe you listened to the whole thing and found one little thing on there that you wanted to get the hold of.
yeah,
But anyway, that's just gives you an example how it's
yeah,
living way in Germany. Even people are appreciating what I
yeah,
did
yeah,
way back in '82.
yeah. Listen, they're listening to you in every corner of the world, and I love that. People are really enjoying that. It's history. You can change that. But anyways, anything else that you may want to say about your life, your wonderful, wonderful life?
No, so far everything's going well. We both have our own. We always compare our medical notes, but I'm, I'm, I'm gonna I'm gonna be 80 in June, so I'm just pushing to get to 80 now.
It's
I want to
just a
get to.
number, my brother. But yeah, it's a number that we both deal with it. Yes, okay. God bless you for that, Frank. Yes, we do talk about music, but nowadays our conversations kind of detour themselves. We did ourselves
It's
to
part of life. Part of
what
life is just trying to
what
stay alive.
medication, because we both are doing two meds at right, the same meds we're
Yep,
taking,
yep,
right?
yep.
Now we are talking about which doctor we're going to see, which medication we're going to see, but
Yeah,
that's
but now we'll concentrate our thing on doing the next grooving in
right.
the park.
But
That'll be
this
the
is
next part.
this is friendship, my friends, and this is just the way God put me in Frank Corr's path, and I love that because now at my age and after 50 years in this industry, I have the opportunity to actually have these conversations with people that I respect. And I really enjoy talking to them because without any airs, any ego, it's just the way they are. Wonderful individuals. And ladies and gentlemen, it's indeed my pleasure today to have had my friend Frank Corr. Frank, thank you so much for your time. And I know that you guys enjoy this conversation. It's just a chat. I'm not an interviewer, but we cover pretty much all these little details. Okay. And Frank, thank you, my brother. I'll be
Thank you
talking.
too.
I'll
Speak
talk to you real soon. Okay. Thank you, and I'll see you probably next Sunday. I mean, what am I gonna?
That would
Okay.
be great. Thank you. All right, I'll look forward to it. Bye bye.
Bye.